Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 94 When You're Feeling Self Doubt. And so, self doubt, as you know, probably can feel so painful, can really create so much suffering, can paralyze you, or the opposite, can lead you to frenzied activity, right? Just taking so much action to either try to figure out the answer or try to not feel the self doubt. And so today I really want to talk about from the spiritual perspective what is actually self doubt and how can you shift it because it's so toxic, right? How can you begin to shift that and then really lean into the certainty of your soul? Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. And if this is your first time, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Lisa Espinosa, and I am a spiritual career coach and priestess. And what I do is I help my clients to connect with their soul and follow their soul's guidance so that they can share what I call their unique soul's medicine, right? That unique contribution that they're here to share with the world. And so self doubt is one of the things that I help my clients with so often, right? So many times when they come in, either whether it's their first session or we've been working together for a while, they might be in the throes of experiencing so much self doubt. And so I've really thought about this a lot. And of course, I can totally get paralyzed by self doubt as well. And so I was thinking, okay, what does self doubt mean? And again, I'm describing this from a spiritual perspective. So self-doubt is really, it's helpful to think of it as an action that you take towards yourself. Okay? Really think about that. And this action that you're taking towards yourself is a judgment. So self-doubt is a form of judging yourself. Judgment is, I know we think of it as a feeling, but when you're judging yourself, there is an action, right, of questioning yourself. And so if you start to think of it that way, like, okay, self doubt is an action I'm taking towards myself, and it's an action of judgment towards myself. And so, what can you be judging about yourself? I made a list, and there's more, I'm sure, but this is what I came up with. You can be judging your capabilities. Are you really capable? Your intelligence, am I smart enough to do this? Your discernment, meaning your ability to decide, to make choices. So you might be doubting that. Can I make the right choice? And if you go really deep, you can even be judging your worth, your value, your goodness, so that there can even be self-doubt about that. Am I a good person? Am I a valuable person? Am I a worthy person? So when you think about it again as an action that you take towards yourself, and that it's really the part of you that, often is called the inner critic, or we can call it the inner judger. That is, and if you picture this part of you, this inner judger, that's standing in front of you saying, well, are you smart enough? I don't know if you're smart enough. Are you capable? I don't know if you're capable. Are you intuitive enough? I don't know if you're intuitive enough. Are you, you know, valuable? Are you a good person? I don't think you're a good person, right? There's this, like, if you picture it that way, as someone outside of you interrogating you almost, and then you can start to understand what I mean of, like, oh, it's an action that I'm taking towards myself. And of course, this inner critic is a part of us. And I'm not going to go too into the anatomy of our inner critic, our inner judger, but I do want to say a few things. One, if it's a part of you that has developed, it, as painful as it is, it truly has good intentions, right? It's a protector. It's like, I have to make sure, I don't know, fill in the blank. And one way that you can discover what is it trying to protect you from is you can ask, like, well, hey, judger of mine or inner critic, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped taking this action against me, if you stopped questioning my intelligence, my capabilities, my discernment? And so that could lead you to get to know that inner critic more. But we'll do that in another episode. For now, I just wanted you to really picture, okay, because this is the first step in shifting self-doubt, is recognizing, okay, wait, self-doubt, it's an action I'm taking towards myself. It's a judgment towards myself. I'm questioning myself, and questioning myself not in a reflective way, but in a judging way. And I do want to say something else. Sometimes that inner voice isn't even a part of us. It could be an internalized, ancestral wound, right? Something that's been passed through your ancestral line. So often women, for example, women who are drawn to being healers, priestesses, wellness professionals, there's been so much attack on healers, right? There's been so much attack on women leaders. So we often have internalized those voices of like, well, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not valuable enough, you're not sane enough, you're not all the things, right? So now that you know that, now what you can do that's really helpful is take an inventory about that self doubt, what do we want to call it, loop that's inside of you. So, or we talk about the judger, the critic. What is that inner judger, inner critic most often questioning you about? It's different for all of us. So I'll read these again. So is it your capabilities? Is that somewhere where it comes out very loudly? And maybe it's not in every area of your life, but maybe you are wanting to start a new business, or you're wanting to share more of your, you know, art with the world, or you're wanting to start teaching new classes or whatever. And all that keeps coming up is that questioning, but am I good enough? Can I do this? I don't think I'm smart enough, whatever it is, right? So your capabilities or your intelligence, maybe it's your discernment. That was a big one for me that I've been working on for a long time. I had this inner critic, inner judger, and also it came from ancestral wounds of like not trusting my ability to decide what is right for me. So that was a big one that I've been working on and working on and working on, right? So maybe it's that for you, or maybe it goes even deeper, and it's really this questioner like, well, are you a good person? That's questioning even that. I had that big time because of abusive situations in my childhood, where there was that inner judger that really internalized that you're not a good person, you're not a good person, you're not a good person. So there can be even that questioning of your goodness, of your value, of your worth. And so when I say take an inventory, that's what I mean. And we can, from in this place, I invite you to look at it through curiosity, almost like a scientist, not cold or detached, but observing, like, okay, where is it that self-doubt comes up the loudest for me? And so when you identify that, so often with my clients, it will be about their capabilities, right? That's a big one that can come up. Do they know enough to do a YouTube live, right? Or do they know enough to write a book? Do they know enough to teach a class, right? And so that's often a place. And so whatever it is for you, and feel free to share in the chat or share in the comments if you're watching the replay, notice where you feel that in your body. Like, get really clear on it. So many times these things are so uncomfortable that we're like, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. We try to push it away, but what you resist persists, right? So we're not actually pushing it away. We're just digging it deeper. So right now we can together be brave and co-create this healing container, and just notice, where do I feel that? For me, often that self-doubt around decision making, I feel in my gut area. It's just like this tightness. So you can notice, where do you feel it? Like, where do you feel when you identify where self doubt is really highlighted for you? Where do you feel that in your body? And once you do that, right? And once you identify which one it is, then you can start to shift it. You can start to recognize, okay, if self doubt, if my self doubt, I'll just use this myself as an example, comes up around making decisions and it feels like tightness in my gut, what would be the opposite of that? The opposite of that would be spaciousness, and it would be feeling very grounded. So I could still be connecting with my abdominal area, but in a different way, not tight like a knot, but like solid foundation, strength. There's an opening in my chest, and there's this feeling of like, oh yeah, I trust my decision making power, right? And also, I trust that if I make a decision and it's the wrong decision, it's okay because that's what life is about, right? There's going to be growing pains, there's going to be refinement, there's going to be perfect as you go. So for you, really identify, where is it that you're feeling more of that self-doubt. Remember, it's an action you're taking towards yourself. The judger is questioning you. I think interrogating, you can think of that. I picture it like this mean teacher that's questioning your abilities, right? And or a boss, a mean boss. And so just doing that will bring you so much spaciousness, right? So much like, because the thing about self-doubt, it is, as I said earlier, it creates so much pain and it actually fogs your brain. It actually makes it hard to think straight, right? So if you imagine somebody standing in front of you and being like, I don't think you're smart enough. I don't think you're capable of this. I don't think you can do this. I mean, most of us would feel pretty bad if that was happening, right? Or at least confused, or at least like, I can't even think straight because you're just repeating this over and over and over. That's what can happen inside. And again, as I said, for women in particular, and for women who want to be leaders, who are healers, wellness professionals, teachers, again, there's been an agenda for lifetimes to keep us down, right? To have those literal and metaphorical pointed fingers at us. And so the other thing I want to name here, which was so powerful for me as I was preparing, I was like, because what we're healing then ultimately is moving from self-doubt. The journey is moving from self-doubt to self-trust, to really trusting yourself. Again, that doesn't mean you're never going to make mistakes, that there's not going to be failures. That's just part of being a divine being, having a human experience. That's going to be part of it. But it means that you trust yourself. You trust the goodness of you, who you are. You trust your worth. You trust your value. You trust that your soul wouldn't guide you to do something if she didn't know you're totally ready for it. Even if you're shaking in your boots, even if you're nervous, right now in this moment, you know enough. You have enough wisdom. You have enough knowledge. You have enough experience. You have enough love and compassion to already be sharing your gifts. So if you're moving from self-doubt to self-trust, right? That journey can feel, when you're in the grips of self-doubt, and you can all picture that, right? We've all experienced that, when you're just like in the mud. You're just like, you're feeling it so strongly. One thing that you can remind yourself, and so let me slow it down. You're feeling that self-doubt so strongly, and you're like, okay, I want to trust myself, but that feels so hard, so far away right now. But one thing you can recognize is like, wait a minute, I do trust a part of me really, really strongly. And what is it? Your critic, right? Isn't that amazing that we can trust our inner judger and inner critic so much? Like when it says, I don't think you're smart enough. I don't think you are good at making choices. I don't think, like, we're like, oh God, you're right. We feel terrible because we've been programmed to actually trust the inner critic, trust the judger inside of us, give it a lot of weight and power. And so when you recognize, you can be like, oh, wait, what if I shifted that trust? And instead of trusting the inner critic, instead of trusting the inner judger, I turned and said, what if I use that and I shifted to trusting my soul? Even if maybe you don't stop trusting your inner judger, but at least you go half and half, right? You make space for trusting your soul. That can be really powerful when we're in the grips of that. That has helped me a lot since I had that awareness as I was preparing for this. I was like, oh my gosh, because trust can feel so far away when we're in self doubt. But when I recognize, wait a minute, I'm totally trusting my inner judger. I'm totally like, yep, I trust you. Tell me more about how bad I am at this. And so your beautiful soul, right, is certainty. Your soul is spaciousness. Your soul is love. Your soul understands you're having a human life that includes growing pains, includes making mistakes, includes learning from experiences. So your soul is not expecting perfection, even though you are divinely perfect, right? And so to recap, and then we're going to do a little inner journey. First, remember that self-doubt is an action you are taking towards yourself. It's coming from the part of you that's often referred to as the inner critic. Sometimes it helps me to call it the inner judger. That voice can be a part of you that developed to protect you, like it thinks it's protecting you. It could also be inherited from your ancestry line. It could also be a part of someone else, maybe a parent or a teacher or someone who was just very harsh on you. And you've literally carried their part all these years. So that's number one. Number two is recognize, okay, self-doubt can come in so many different areas of my life. And you're going to take an inventory, a self-doubt inventory. Like, where is this inner critic, inner judger really active? Is it about your capabilities? Is it about your intelligence? Is it about your creativity? Is it about your intuition? Is it about your discernment? Is it about your goodness, your value, your worthiness? I mean, you can go on and on and on, right? And so you're going to take the inventory from and trying to do it from a very like observation place, right? Trying to not do it from an emotional place. This part just kind of like, let me just look. That's one of the powers that we have as humans is that we can look at our own mind. We can look at our own emotions. And so notice. And so you take inventory and you identify where, one or two areas where self-doubt is really coming on strongly. Next step is once you identify it, then really notice where do you feel that in your body? If for you, it's your creativity. Maybe self-doubt just gets so loud around your creativity, whatever that is. Drawing, writing, jewelry making, whatever, dance, whatever it is. And that inner critic, that inner judger is just like, nope, it's so loud at that time. And so getting familiar, part of what I teach, not just here, but with my clients, right? I go on this journey with them to help them identify these inner critics, these inner punishers, and release the fear of them. Because sometimes it can feel so overwhelming that we're like, no, I don't want to look at it. I'd rather not look at it, but it's there. It's literally there. So when we look at it, we normalize it and it becomes less powerful. So when you identify, okay, this is this inner critic, this inner judger, or maybe it's, you've internalized it from somebody else, it really comes on strong in my creativity. Where do I feel that in my body? Oh, well, maybe it's a tightness in your chest, right? And again, there's many more steps to this, but in this moment, just know that what you can do is start to even go to like, well, what would be the opposite of that? The opposite of that might be like my chest feels very open, my shoulders feel very relaxed, I can breathe, I feel connected to my whole body, my mind is clear, right? You start to identify the frequency, the vibration of having trust in your creativity as opposed to self-doubt in your creativity. and you can go from there, right? And so the other thing is that you can remember, I forgot what step we're in, 4 or something, and is that you can remember that, wait a minute, in this moment when this inner critic and this inner judger is so loud, and it can feel like the most um, so loud, and it can feel like the hardest thing to move into trust. Recognize that, oh, in this moment, I am trusting. I am trusting the inner critic. I'm using all of my power of trust on this inner critic, this inner judger who maybe has good intentions, but it's creating so much harm in this moment. And so just identifying that can lead you to then move into trusting your soul. You can ask your soul, right? And so we're going to move into our inner journey so that you can be with that certainty of your soul, right? So that you can be in that frequency. And if your soul, if you're in the future ever feeling those grips of self doubt, you can come back, you can watch this, you can come back to some of these teachings. And, as you come back to these teachings in that moment, even a little shift, right? Even a little shift will make all the difference. And I want to show you the card that I pulled. It says, before we started, it says, be a beacon, be an inspiration, light the way for others. So look at this. Be an inspiration, light the way for others. And that's what you're doing, right? That's what we're doing as you do this inner process, because when you free yourself from that self-doubt, then even if it's not completely gone, maybe the punisher's over there and you're like, all right, I hear you, there you are. But you still move forward with what you're meant to do. You still take the action steps that you're meant to take. That's how you share your soul's medicine. Which reminds me, next week is my free masterclass, how to boldly share your soul's medicine. And so registration is open already. I'll put a link, and there is a free giveaway for those of you who attend live, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go inside. So I invite you to take a few deep cleansing breaths. And as you take these cleansing breaths, you might want to close your eyes and take a moment to just ground your energy. Meaning, what does that mean? Just connect with the earth underneath you. Connect, visualize roots of light going down your legs and out the bottoms of your feet deep into the earth so that you're fully present. Sometimes when we are tuning into these teachings, it can get us out of our body. So you want to really come back into your body, know that it is safe. And then you can bring the palms of your hands over your heart center as I'm doing. Or if you don't need to do that, you might just do it for a moment and then just relax your hands. It just helps you to come down from your intellect and really go into your heart. And I invite you to visualize this beautiful light, like that card said, that you're a beacon of light. And as you feel that light, let that light emanate from your heart into the path in front of you. And as that happens, see yourself now standing on this beautiful golden path. And on this path, this golden light, you recognize is coming from your soul. Your beautiful soul is surrounding you in this golden light. And notice how this golden light, you feel it, right? You feel it as this beautiful certainty and spaciousness, right? You feel it as certainty, you feel it as spaciousness. And it starts to fill your auric field. And just let yourself stretch in that. And knowing that your soul is all around you, ask your soul, show me, where is self doubt slowing me down or hindering me or creating suffering? Where is that? And your soul is going to show you, whether it shows you now or later, but your soul is going to very lovingly show you, like, oh, that's the area. And then ask your beautiful soul, as I heal this, as I shift from self doubt to self trust, what will open up for me? What blessing will come? And then just asking your beautiful soul, say, beautiful soul, send me healing energy to support me in healing that self-doubt. And so imagine like you're receiving this golden light, right? This golden light from your soul. And now thank your soul, and your soul thanks you as you come back in your heart and your body here. We bring the palms of our hands together and we bow to each other as we end that journey with a namaste. Namaste, everyone. So, a couple of things. I'm going to pull a card. And as I do that, also remind you that if you want to sign up for my newsletter, the link will be below. That's the best way to keep just to know all the awesome events that are coming up. Also, I still have some spaces for a free breakthrough consultation. And that is an opportunity. It's like getting a diagnosis in a very loving, compassionate way, right? So if you're really feeling like, I want to share my medicine and I want to share it with authenticity, I want to share it without diluting my message, I want to share it in a way that blesses me and blesses others. But you're like, but I know there's blocks. I know there's something that's holding me back. I'm not sure, or I think it's this, or I think it's that. That's what I do in the breakthrough consult, right? It's like I identify what is the biggest block and also provide what is the simple solution. Like, this is the solution. This is what will help heal that. And then if I feel I can help you further, I will share details of my private coaching program. Okay, so we're going to pull from the beautiful guardian angel cards. And so let's see, what do the guardian angels have to say about this topic? For I know how painful, how debilitating self-doubt can be. So what is their message to help you? Because you are here to be a beacon. All right. The next step, okay, look at this. Be patient. As you release old energy from your energetic field, you're shifting gears to a higher plane, and it brings fatigue and heaviness before the outdated vibrations are set free and dissolved. My gosh, I just pulled this card for one of my daughters. So, how do I read this with the context of what we just learned, what I just taught today? Be patient as you release the old energy of self doubt. Right? There is a process as we release it. You're shifting gears to a higher plane. Yes. And it can bring fatigue and heaviness. That often happens actually as we're getting better. It's like all of this stuff is purging, right? Like when you get a fever because your body's actually fighting the virus. So if you're feeling heavy or fatigue, it's like, oh, it's just coming out before the outdated vibrations are set free and dissolved. So this is such a reminder from our guardian angels. Don't give up. It's like this is being lifted, this is shifting. And sometimes as it shifts, it creates heaviness, it creates fatigue. So let yourself rest when you need to rest, take walks when you need to take walks. I have so learned this on this journey. I mean, I really try now not to beat myself up or question, like, why am I so tired? Like, I literally slept okay last night. And just to know, and my soul saying, just if you can rest and lie down even for 10 minutes, you're just giving time for all these energies, these old, outdated energies to be released. Okay, so look at this beautiful card. And it says the next step. So this is really saying, as you allow that to happen, sorry, the lamp, then the next step will be revealed, right? And remember, you are a beacon. Look at this. That's you right there. All of this light radiating out of you. Thank you, Katie, for sharing that. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I look forward to next week, which will be what? Episode 95. And also next week, if you're going to join the masterclass, again, it's free. Registration is open. I would love for you to be there. And if you want to sign up for a breakthrough consult, I would be my honor to talk to you. Hi, Roxana. So glad you were here as well. All right. Bye, everyone.